Welcome to Wizard World Day 3. This is the big one on Saturday. Today is the day that I get to meet Michael J. Fox and get to see Lea Thompson again after the 10 years that I have not seen her. And I'm also going to get to meet Rosario Dawson and Carrie Fisher I've never actually taken a picture with before. So it's going to be a really exciting day, but of course the biggest thing, as you could probably already tell, is that I am dressed like Marty McFly with suspenders, and so I am really psyched to meet Michael J. Fox, and it'll just happen in the next couple hours.
Okay. Well, thank you. Have a nice day, sir. Thank you so much.
So enjoy.
It's going to be fun to get on the
How are you going to get it through here?
I think you come around.
He's made it all the way around so far.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. He's got to put that in a trunk too later, I guess. Well, thanks for coming back to Chicagoland, Lea.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
What's your name? Rick.
Rick, yes. Yeah, you were in town like 10 years ago for a screening out in the suburbs.
Oh, yeah.
So it was lots of fun with Claudia Wells, James Tolkan,
Yes.
and Chris.
That was a long time ago.
It really was, but you still look great.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I'm still alive.
Hanging in there, yeah. All right. It's time to go back to the Back to the Future panel.
You know her from movies like Space Camp and Howard the Duck, and on TV, Caroline in the City and Switched at Birth. But you know her most from playing 62 different versions of Lorraine Baines. She is our density. Please welcome the lovely Lea Thompson. Our next guest, of course, you know from Taxi and Star Trek 3, and you know, I tell you what, the one line of dialogue this man has probably said most in his career is "Great Scott." So why don't we welcome him with a great Scott of our own? So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Great Scott! Christopher Lloyd! Last but certainly not least, 5-time Emmy winner, Spin City, Michael J. Fox Show, Family Ties, Teen Wolf, etc., etc., etc. He is the one, the only Marty McFly, Michael J. Fox.
Let's sit here.
Nice and cozy.
This is bloody country. There's no apartment.
Well, that's the joke couch.
Yeah, it's a movie couch.
That's right. So, let's start at the beginning. Let's get a few questions in, and then we're going to get questions from everybody else. Michael, you may be a little surprised to hear this, but you were not the first guy to play Marty McFly.
I heard that.
So tell us how you found out about Marty, and then the process immediately followed.
Well, I first heard about the movie. I was doing. It was a nightmare. I was having a terrible day. It was like 90 degrees. I was in Pasadena. I had werewolf makeup on, and I was sweltering. I was drinking my lunch through a straw. And somebody came by my trailer and said that there were location scouts on our set looking at the sidewalks to shoot scenes for a movie called Back to the Future. It was going to be a Spielberg movie, and they said Crispin Glover was in it. And I knew Crispin Glover, and I loved Crispin Glover, but I was really pissed that he was in this movie, and I'm a werewolf. and then as time went on, they started the movie in like October or something. And in November, I got a call to Gary Goldberg's office, the producer of Family Ties, and he said that they had seen and Bob had come to him earlier in October and asked if I was free to do this movie. And he said I wasn't, which I don't understand. He wanted to continue doing the show, and he didn't tell me about it. So the first I heard about it was he said that they had come to him, and now they come to him again because they worked with this actor, and who was a great actor whom I knew and respected. But he just wasn't goofy enough, I guess. They wanted somebody goofier, and they asked me if I wanted to do it, and I said yes immediately before I read it. And then I was sort of just whirling the weekend, like saying, yeah, I'll wear the white shoes with the red stripe, and yeah, I'll wear this vest, and all of a sudden, you know, these decisions so fast that are now kind of iconic things. We just came up with it really quickly, and then I was in the parking lot and wherever, at the hills with flames running between my legs.
So you, from the time that Gary David Goldberg gave you that script and you read it, you literally had days to memorize new dialogue, to get the character together, and then keep doing Family Ties at the same time.
Yeah, it was strange. The weirdest part was I was doing both at the same time. I was doing the movie at night and back to Family Ties in the daytime. And it did get to a point where like I was waiting backstage at the kitchen set at Family Ties. We wanted to do a scene, and all of a sudden I panicked because I couldn't find my Sony hand recorder. I was looking for my camera, and I don't need my camera. And then they called Michael Gross Doc to come out. We had to use him.
Right.
Well, I mean, that's how I felt like to work with these guys were so good and so knew these characters so well, and it was just it was an amazing experience.
I mean, and Michael, you said this before about Chris and the dialogue and all of that laying the pipe kind of situation.
Well, I just said the thing I always say about Chris is that there's an expression in acting and film and theater and television about laying the pipe, which is saying exposition, saying the part, like especially in fantasy and science fiction movies, someone has to explain how it works. Someone has to explain, well, if you go through this door, then it gets foggy, and then you get transported to another kingdom or whatever the rules are. It's the rules, and it's laying pipe, and it's really thankless because it's not exciting. You're just laying out this information. He does it like Rembrandt. He can do it and entertain while he's doing it. Go ahead, you blow up. This guy lays pipe and no one ever seen. He made it magical. And I mean, he has many gifts, but that's one of the best among them. He's a great storyteller. He can tell you a story, and you don't know you're getting the medicine that you're getting. He's feeding you your medicine, and you take it and enjoy it.
Well, I'm not a fast memorizer. I just knew that I had to start being memorized at least a week before that. You know, memorize the material that's going to come up a week later, and keep things going that way. Otherwise, I'd be lost. I remember there was an accident near the start of the shooting of Back to the Future 2. I wasn't present on the set, but there was,
The stunt woman.
trees. Huh?
The stunt woman.
Yeah. And so the schedule suddenly, from day to day, you never knew what was going to be scheduled. I was in panic because I just thought I can't sleep until I learn the whole script, so that I can sleep. I had this, that was just kind of scary into.
So did you memorize the script for part 3 as well while you were doing that?
I didn't have part 3 in my hands, but I thought it up.
Now, in part 2, there were a lot of special effects. Michael, you were having dinner as Marty Sr. and Marty Jr. and Marlene and Doc, 1955, which in fact was our first night of shooting on Back to the Future 2, which, if I remember correctly, you told me was the most terrifying night of all three movies for you. Why?
I feel like I won't count. Well, that first night of shooting Back to the Future 2 was kind of an all-night shoot, it seems to me. And I had to recreate again, trying to do what I'd already done. The end, when I'm euphoric. You go off and I'm dancing in the street, and I just didn't know where I was going to dredge that from. And then I was on the bicycle, and I had to be both knees doing that thing up the pole there.
Very nice.
Yeah, back and forth. And so I was kind of intimidated by that. And that was downhill the rest of the way.
Well, but after we did those things, the last scene of the night, Michael came in, who had finished Family Ties, and came in and did the very last scene from part 2, where you come running around and say, I'm back from the future. And you guys hadn't been together for 4 years, and the chemistry again was instantaneous. Do you remember that night? Do you remember much of the film?
No. You saying it was the last time of 2?
The last scene in 2, you've disappeared, Doc is running around, and then all of a sudden you come running around the corner.
Right.
Doc, I'm back from the future.
Right. Yeah, it was, I mean, all that stuff, it was just, it was a blur to me. I have a hard time, I remember some specific scenes, shooting them, but I don't often remember the circumstances around the scenes, except that at the beginning, sort of like the flames going through my legs, and you being a time machine out of the DeLorean, and all those scenes we shot there. But the whole thing, it's funny, separated by 5 years, but it seems like one continuous thing to me. 1, 2, and 3. It just all runs together. But I remember scenes like in 1, our scene where I wake up in her room. I mean, I'll never forget that scene. I'll never forget, like, I was like, she was so cute. And in the process, she was my mom, but she was really cute. And it was just like, and it was one of our first scenes together. And I just went, oh, this is going to be great.
Well, when we did all of those special effect shots, even though you weren't playing against yourself, you were very integral to some of those shots, especially the one in the future where they're having dinner with pizza. So what was the process and what part would you play in there?
Well, the funny thing about that character in Back to the Future 2, where I had to be, 85 or something like that? I remember Bob Zemeckis was like, you're playing old, but you can't play slow. So he was like, you have to be fast. So I was like, oh. I had to walk around like that. I had to create a character that was fast, but very old. So it just took a lot of little steps. But I think most of the stuff in that was really successful, but I do think it wasn't entirely successful in Back to the Future 3, where with the rabbit when we were married. That was fun to be married to him and not have to be weird. But there was some passing over food or the baby, and it didn't work too well. And it was such the dawn of special effects. I mean, remember that big giant camera? Yeah, it was this giant camera, and they had seismograph machines, so that when we came back the next day, they could see if there had been an earthquake or something.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
That first night of shooting Back to the Future 2 was kind of an all-night shoot, it seems to me. And I had to recreate again, trying to do what I'd already done. The end, when I'm euphoric. you go off and I'm dancing in the street, and I just didn't know where I was going to dredge that from. And then I was on a bicycle, and I had to be both knees doing that thing up the pole there.
Very nice.
Yeah, back and forth. And so I was kind of intimidated by that. And that was downhill the rest of the way.
Well, but after we did those things, the last scene of the night, Michael came in, you had finished Family Ties, and came in and did the very last scene from part 2, where you come running around and say, I'm back from the future. And you guys hadn't been together for 4 years. And the chemistry, again, was instantaneous. Do you remember that night? Do you remember much of this film?
No. You saying specifically the last night of 2?
The last scene in 2, you've disappeared, Doc is running around, and then all of a sudden you come running around the corner.
Right.
Doc, I'm back from the future.
Right. Yeah, it was, and all that stuff, it was a blur to me. I have a hard time, I remember some specific scenes, shooting them, but I don't often remember the circumstances around the scenes. Except that at the beginning, certainly the flames flowed through my legs, and you made a time machine out of the DeLorean, and all those things we shot there. But the whole thing, it's funny, separated by 5 years, but it seems like one continuous thing to me. 1, 2, and 3. It just all runs together. So I remember scenes like in 1, our scene where I wake up in her room. I mean, I'll never forget that scene. And I'll never forget, I was like, she was so cute. And I had to process, she was my mom, but she was really cute. And then, it was just like, and it was one of our first scenes together. And I just went, oh, this is gonna be great.